but I have had some requests from some drivers to show you a couple of good core exercises that you can be doing. And I also thought it'd be helpful to explain to you all why you should not be doing sit-ups. So for many of you, maybe you come from more of a traditional workout background, or maybe you've like never done anything before, and when you think of core work, you think of doing sit-ups, which is pretty common. I often see people posting exercises, trucker community or not, and they're like, do sit-ups, do these types of things, but here's what you're doing to yourself when you do sit-ups. So just to refresh your memory, if it's been a while since you've done any type of movement, which is okay, or maybe it's been a while since you've done a sit-up, but you're like, that's what I should be doing to strengthen my core, which it shouldn't be. The idea of a sit-up is you laying on your back flat, cranking on your head and shoulders, and yanking your upper body somewhat off the floor. Now, although you feel exhausted, and although you might feel tired from that type of a movement, here's why it's not good for you, and here's why it's especially not good for someone that sits a lot, like a truck driver. So all day long, you are hunched forward, usually with more of a forward head while you're driving or even sitting at a computer. So when you come to do an exercise like that, you're actually pulling in that same position. So you're encouraging those muscles to stay in that position. Overly tense and tight here, overstretched here. So you're never going to get away from that posture by utilizing a sit-up to strengthen your core. Well, you have good news. There is a better way. So I'm going to show you a couple exercises that you can do right on the sleeper of your cab, right at home on the floor. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. Actually, you don't really need anything at all to help you strengthen your core. More importantly, help you to know when you're turning on those core muscles.
Great.
So the idea that when you're on your back doing this type of movement, we actually shorten the muscles on the front of our body. So instead of elongating them to where we look long and lean and it helps keep us upright, we're doing the opposite. And so instead, we want to think about going backwards into extension or elongating our body when we're trying to build core strength. We also want to think about our core as the front, sides, and the back of our body, not just your abs, but the entire corset of your core. So the next time that you want to do core work, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can easily integrate in to be able to build up this core strength faster, more effectively, in a much more functional way that's going to help serve your body, especially with all the sitting that you do. We definitely don't need to be harming our lower back more than we already know we are. Okay, so first things first, like I said, anytime you go back into extension, it works your core, wait for this, 108 times, 408 times more effectively. That's about 10 times more effectively than sit-ups. So less is more here. Now, I like using a mini ball. It's just like literally a little mini inflatable ball. If you don't have one of these to wedge behind your back, you're just going to free form. You're going to free float. So as you go back into extension, I can actually feel all of my core muscles turn on and then come back upright versus a sit-up yanking on your body, which doesn't work your entire core. Now, I could do a movement like this, just simply go back as far as I feel like I can. All of a sudden, I feel my body shake a little bit. That's the earthquake. That's all your core muscles turning on, and then coming back up, sitting nice and tall. I could load that exercise. Loading means you add a weight. So this is a weighted ball. This is an 8-pound hand weight. You don't need 50 pounds, okay? Just a couple of pounds. So I'll use this guy here. I could load my core by resting the weight on my chest, not holding it because then my arms are going to do the work. I'm going to lay that weight on my chest and hold it on my chest, keep a nice long spine, and then go back about 45 degrees. You're going to feel that quiver, so you're going to know. And then slowly come back up, sit nice and tall. I could add a little bit of an arms, deltoids, upper body workout by bringing the weight up the chimney and then back to the chest and then back again. Now notice how I'm not telling you to move fast and furious. So there's two types of exercise. There's the type of exercise that's fast and furious, that leaves you out of breath and you think, boy, I had a great workout, but you have no idea what you just did. And then there's form and function or control. And when we work at that level, we really train our body to reduce from injury in our everyday life. We offer our body a little bit more strength and stability, which I don't care what age you are, these are all attributes that we need for our physical body. So I'm going to go as back as far as I can without rounding, okay? Keeping a nice long spine, and then coming up nice and slow, and then bringing that weight up the chimney. Now, I promise you, try to do that for a minute straight. Try to do 10 or 15, maybe 20 reps if you just want to push it, and you're going to feel that. My heart rate is already up. I'm trying not to sound like I'm out of breath. If I were to use a mini ball, which I absolutely love, I could stick this little guy right behind me and do the exact same thing. So I could go back. Now I just have a little bit of support. I can feel that quiver. You don't need to go all the way. And then come back up again and bring that ball to the sky. So that's going to be one exercise. This is called extension. Obviously, you're extending back. The next move is more for obliques. So for those of you that maybe need a little review, we have an internal oblique and we have an external oblique. They both serve two different purposes. They're kind of the country roads that connect our shoulder girdle and rib cage to our pelvis. If we don't have good oblique strength, we are someone that may end up with shoulder issues, scapular issues, neck pain, shoulder pain, because the country roads or the sides of our body are not holding up our upper body. If you do a lot of this while you're driving, you're going to have one oblique that's shorter or longer than the other, and one oblique that's probably a little stronger, and the other one's a little bit weaker. So we want to balance that out. So there's actually some reasoning behind the exercises that I'm choosing for you guys today. So this next one is about obliques. Same thing again. I can choose to do this without a weight or with a weight. When we load our core, remember loading means using a weight, we are asking our body to work harder. Now, if that weight puts us over the edge, too much does not always equal better. Adding more weight does not mean I'm going to get a better workout. So you want to find that line between what challenges my body and what doesn't make my body use all the wrong muscles. Okay, we want to stay within that zone. So this one is going to be pretty easy. Maybe you've seen it before. If I'm using a mini ball, which I know some of you drivers have now invested in because it's such an easy tool to travel with, we're going to find 45 degrees. I'll show you without, so don't worry. I'm going to add what I call genie style arms, and without letting my lower body twist from the waist down, I'm super stable. I'm going to turn as far as I can go. So that internal oblique, that deep oblique, the one you can't really touch with your finger, is having to work really hard. And then back to center, my lower body's pretty steady. And then I'm going to try to turn as far as I can the other direction. Notice how I'm not hunching and rounding, and then back to center. The control aspect of this is going to kick in, and you're going to feel that shaking, because we can do this all day, and momentum kicks in, and we might be using our core muscles, but we're not tapping into the weak ones. So the stronger get stronger, and the weak just kind of get stronger. If I'm not going to use the mini ball, and I'm going to load again, I'm going to load my core, boop, stick that on the chest, bring it back about 45 degrees. I could even stick a pillow or something between my knees if you're feeling those hip flexors kick in. Now, same thing. I'm going to turn as far as I can go, which all those spinal muscles are going to kick in. I'm shaking, and then back to center, and then go the opposite way as far as I can go, and then back to center. I can already feel my body temperature rising. So can you do 5 of these each way? I know you're thinking 5, Hope, that's like nothing. Well, when you use your muscles at 100% capacity in the right way, you don't need to do a lot and you don't need to move super fast. So now I'm in extension, which means my back muscles are kicking in. So if you're not used to using your back muscles, you're going to be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, Hope, I can feel it in my back. It's not a bad thing. You're using those muscles. So I'm going to go as far as I can go. You might notice that one direction, you turn more than the other one. This is where you want to reflect on your everyday life and go, do I always turn to the right with everything that I do? Well, guess what? All of those muscles on the right might be a little bit stronger, and all those muscles on the left might be a little bit more stretched. So just kind of paying attention to the patterns that we do. If you have a stronger side, it's called a 2-to-1 ratio. You're going to do more on the weaker side than on the stronger side. When you're moving so fast, especially with core work, you don't even know which that is. So just that little bit more slow and controlled can make a really big difference. Okay, so that's exercise number 2. So the first one, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about movements that you can do to build more effective core strength, faster, with more control, more stability, and what to do besides sit-ups, because sit-ups don't work, they're not nearly as effective. Like, let's update our exercise repertoire a little bit. So we had first was called the extension, going back. It's almost like I'm floating. I can feel all my core muscles, and then coming back up. The next one was a rotation. So I'm going to turn side to side without moving my lower body. It's all in the waistline or the rib cage. I could also put my hands here to feel how far I could rotate. You might be surprised that you actually do have oblique muscles, which is great. The next one is a plank style movement, which is going to combine pelvic floor, lower abs, obliques, rectus, which is your six-pack, and your back muscles. So basically your entire core. Coming down onto your forearms. If you've done planks before, you've done this. I don't want you to do that anymore. When we do this style of a plank, grabbing our hands, we overuse our chest muscles and our biceps. And we do that and we sacrifice our core. So we want to open up our hands so it's about a forearm's width. So I can make fists or put something between your hands, but no more of this. We gotta open them up. You'll feel the difference instantly, I promise. All right, so we're down on a forearm position and then stepping back into a plank. Now when you're in a plank, whether you're on your forearms or you're up in regular plank, your booty should not be to the sky. It's almost like you're tucking your tailbone, which is gonna fire your core muscles even more. Now if you do it right, you don't need to do it very long, okay? So when we come into plank, I'm going to think about sinking my tailbone a little bit between my thighs and pulling up on my belly. Now to access those oblique muscles again, turn your lower body. I can stack, I can lift a leg, I can drop a knee to the floor, but I'm going to try to keep my shoulders square with the floor. Now if you want a little bit more of a challenge, pick that top leg up. Now you have lateral hip work, which is also good because you're doing a lot of sitting. And so I'm going to try to hold that, keep the weight even on your forearms. Can you go 5 breaths? Can you go 10 breaths? Can you go a minute? And then from there, we can take a little break, take a breath, and then back up again. Don't let yourself talk your body out of the opposite side. And then again, twist. What will happen is we're going to want to put all the weight on one arm. No, 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 no. You got to keep the weight on both arms. And again, let yourself turn at your waist. Same thing again. Can I go 5 breaths? Can I go 10 breaths? Can I go a minute? What you should feel is that oblique kick in. Good shoulder girdle stability for those of you that have shoulder issues, neck issues. Again, you're sitting sideways. That really creates a lack of stability between your shoulder girdle and your pelvis. Your body is telling you stuff all the time. It's just the question is, are you actually listening? Okay, so that's the third exercise. So first one was extension, second one was that rotation, this one was a twisted plank, next one we're gonna come onto our back. So like I said, I'm not a big fan of on your back exercises, flat on your back. But if you're gonna do them, we might as well do them correctly. So instead of focusing on this type of a movement, which is what a lot of people do, we're going to focus on lengthening the body, which is going to create a whole nother element of stability. I like to do loaded exercises, so if you're going to use a weight or a weighted ball or a soup can or a water jug, like you have options, okay, improvise. Or you can just lace the hands together, use no weight at all. So you have options here. Okay, so first things first, we are not going to press our lower back into the floor. Knowledge is power. When we do that, we turn off a lot of our back muscles and we overemphasize our hip flexors, which gives you that grabbing feeling in your hip. We don't want to do that. Try to find a happy medium where your lower back is just arced off the floor a little bit, just a little bit. And then from there, see if you can lift one leg up off the floor. See if you can lift the other leg off the floor without your body being jerked into an arc or having to push into the floor. So this already should make your belly muscles turn on. Now we're gonna load it. So take a weight or some type of a weight, and it's almost like a pulley. My arms are gonna go overhead without pushing my ribs up. So my abs now, those upper abs that you were trying to work by cranking into a sit-up, have to work to stabilize and keep the ribs down. So how far can I bring my arms overhead without popping my ribs up, and then bring that weight back up? Now here's the kicker, here's the killer, here's what makes it 10 times more effective than a sit-up ever will. Now we're gonna lower our legs down and bring our arms overhead, and I promise you, you will be shaking. And then exhale, nice and control. I'm not letting my rib cage or my pelvis move. My arm or my shoulder socket and my hip. That's all that's moving. I can make this even more challenging by going down and then push your heels through the sand. Let your glutes engage. I'm not arcing, okay? I'm staying nice and neutral, nice and steady, and then back up nice and slow. I promise you, you will feel every core muscle in your body work. Those back muscles are gonna kick in just enough because you're not going to let your body arc. And then back up nice and slow. Fast and furious does not equal effective. I promise you that. So just see if you can control this. If you feel like you're having a little bit of breathing issues, if you're a little bit larger in the chest or belly, prop your head with a pillow. Just give yourself a little bit of an incline, and that will help with some breathing if you're having a challenge laying flat on the floor. So can I do 5 of these? Can I do 10 of these? Can I do this for a minute straight? You want to try to go for 20 or 30, awesome, but control here is key. That's what we're emphasizing. So if I can only go, let's say, to here before my body wants to do this, that's how far you're going to go. So I'm only going to go as far as I can create stability in my body versus just yanking on myself as much as I can. So the idea is if you take 5 minutes every day, a few times a week, and you do exercises like this that focus on form and control and stability, you're going to build more core strength, you're going to build a lot more muscle, you're going to feel stronger, and you're going to see some of those imbalances and those issues and challenges start to dissipate because your body is building itself more effectively. I don't care if you're a truck driver, I don't care if you're a school teacher, I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom, I don't care if you're a doctor, whatever it is. We all can benefit from movements like this. Do not let yourself talk yourself out of taking better care of yourself, especially when it comes to good core exercises. If you feel like these might be effective for you, try them. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comment section. Commit yourself to 5 minutes a day of good core workout, good core exercises, and you will be amazed at how you feel afterwards. Make sure you share out this video.